Hi, thanks for checking out our channel here. This is going to be it's going to be a repair video, but I've already started in on it, and I realized, oh, this ought to be a fun one to make, so I just kind of stopped where I was at before I got too far into it. I've only tinkered on it for about 3, 4, 5 minutes, and now I got narrowed down to what I think's wrong with it. So we're going to get this thing and take a look at it. This is a Gallagher B1200 electric battery-powered fence charger. Pretty good old school unit. They don't make many parts for this thing anymore. I think capacitors is about all they have available for them. Boards and transformers and stuff. You might be able to get an output board for them. The board and the main big board and the transformer have been obsolete for a few years now. And but we're going to tear into it. Now we sometimes can fix these boards. I have capacitors for it. May not be Gallagher's, but they'll work. They'll be just fine. We've done it hundreds of times. So this is a 2006 model, so it's got a little age on it. Alright, so here's what it does. I'm going to turn the power on real quick. The power supply. Come on and clicking, and little lights flashing. And the note on it says works part way. I was like, what the heck's that supposed to mean? So I put my tester on there. This is on. This has got a 3-position switch down here for high, medium, and low. It was on medium, so I flipped it down to high just to see. Maybe that's why the problem is had it on the wrong switch setting. But it's only plotting out about 5,000, 4,500, somewhere in that range. Should probably be close to 8,000 volts coming out of it. So we'll check it out here and get it going. It probably has a bad capacitor in, or a bad transformer, which sits underneath this board. It's underneath there. Like I said, Gallagher no longer makes it, but we've got a transformer that will fit. That will have to modify the case a little bit, but it should fit right in there. And we're going to check these capacitors. These are 30 microfarad, wired in parallel. I'm not reading anything, but let me get the board out of there first, because we're going to have to get the board out of the way to get our transformer in there, just so we have a little more working room. Let's see, now we'll check the capacitor, make sure that maybe the board was interfering with the reading. Alright, it's supposed to be 60, and we're reading 56.6, so basically about 20 something a piece. So that's not too bad. You're probably 28 a piece. 20 out of 30 on each of them. That's not too bad. Alright, so now let's get the board put back in here real quick. We'll take this output board out, and then we'll turn it back on, and we'll check right across the transformer itself. It may go up a little bit, but it should go up a lot if it's good. If it goes up to like 5,500 or something small, like 6,000 or something, then it's still pretty weak. It should be a lot higher than that. All right, that's I'm looking for. Oh, turn it on. Something wrong with the switch a little bit too. Let's see, it ain't much higher. I think it's exactly the same. So we'll fiddle around that switch. It's kind of an odd switch. It's an on-off switch, but it's got, well, we might end up putting a new switch in that thing. That switch is a little hard to turn on. Well, that's not too bad now, but it's like you touch it just right. See, it's not working right. If I bump the switch, now it's working right. So I'll probably change that switch up. Probably got some crap built up inside. Put that board off the side. We'll fool with the switch here in a minute, but let's get this transformer out. Well, there's 2 wires at the bottom. We're going to plug those. That goes to the primary side of the transformer. We'll pop this transformer clamp off here. Get those metal plates out. This should slide right out. Sometimes it slides out with the plate. Sometimes the plates stay attached like they did here. But we don't need these plates anyway, so probably stow the whole thing away. Okay, so now we need to modify this case. Alright, got the new transformer. This is actually a Gallagher transformer, but it's not for this unit. But it should work. Now it's shaped a lot differently. See, shaped like this. Got 4 tabs on it. Two skinny wires as your output, and then yeah, the 2 main ones here, the input, are your bigger wires. Give me just a second here. Alright, so first thing we need to do, take these side cutters, and we're going to, okay, we're not going to do that yet. We're going to do this first. I'm going to drill straight down to this little hole here. And just basically take a big drill bit. This should work to chew through the plastic. Straight down through it like that. I'm going to do it on both corners. Dump out the rest, the excess shavings. Now we'll take this and we'll cut out just a little bit extra around there. You see, Gallagher won't do this kind of retrofit. You know, it's their transformer that we're installing. They won't do this kind of stuff. They will you know, just try to get you into a new one, which new ones are good, but you know, they don't make much factory parts anymore, and Gallagher's the one that made the transformer in-house, so you're basically stuck either getting new parts or doing what we're doing. Alright, so I'm going to position it this way, where the primary is going to be on my right, secondary is going to be on my left. Should be able to sit just like that. Now when we get all done with everything, I'll lift this up, I'll put some 2-part epoxy, mix it up, put it on the back side of this transformer underneath, and we'll glue that transformer into place. Now these transformers this style of transformer Gallagher's been using since the 80s. You know, they're really, really reliable. Hardly ever see them go bad. Okay, so the next thing we got to do, you drill 2 holes. Right, this little divider plate runs across here. We're just gonna pick a spot. And then we'll get another spot just next to it. It's like that. Those 2 holes right there. And that's going to be where our primary wires that went down here at the bottom on the old transformer, which were plugged onto here. Now those wires won't reach up there, of course. This one might. All right, we'll put this one right here. So That one will fit, but the black one's way too short. So we're going to unplug the black one. And I don't care what color wire it is. We're going to just have a roll of red wire sitting there. This is a 12 gauge. 14 gauge would probably work too. Let me see if I got any 12 gauges. This is a little bit easier to work with because spade connectors I've got work with that better as well. So we'll just get the 12 gauge, or 14 gauge will work just fine. Because these wires here are probably in that 14 gauge anyways. Alright, I'm going to grab a blue spade connector. And I need my crimp tool. Somewhere. I'll find it. Okay. Now, for some reason, the voltage output on this isn't quite where we want it. I got another transformer that's a similar size as well. Same style transformer made for another unit, and it should work just fine too. So we're going to cut that about right here, shove it through this hole, and then we'll probably cut off a little bit of the excess because I don't think we need that much on there. Shut down, cut off like an inch. Now let's take the board, slide it back in there. Now this will be a lot quieter of a unit because this transformer doesn't have plates in it. It does. It's just inside the coil, where these are on the outside and not, these are in an epoxy. They're encapsulated in epoxy, and which keeps all the coils together and everything and the windings together. But it muffles the sound because sound's not radiating out because it can't because of all the epoxy. So it will be quieter, but it doesn't mean that it's weaker. It's just the type of transformer that it is. It's just a sound. It's not a, how strong it is. Alright, we're going to go across those two tabs there. We'll turn this switch on. Okay, we're hitting 6,000. Two things I want to try before we swap the transformer, or one thing I want to try before I swap the transformer out. I want higher voltage than that. We're going to plug this wire on here. Now, see, this one's not going to be long enough now. We'll unplug it for now. I'll keep it because I'll reuse it. Now we'll take the wire, and we'll run this basically that way and around. I'm just going to cut a little bit off. Take this, plug it on there, keep that on there. Now we're going to turn it back on. I know it is higher than what it was before. See, it's at 6,000, was about 4,500, so we've gained some. So we know we're heading the right direction. But this the polarity or wiring going in the transformer didn't matter. I was just kind of curious. Sometimes they do, sometimes I don't. Most times I don't, but I was just kind of curious. All right, we're going to pull this transformer out. We're going to, the other one should pull right out. All right, slide this in. Looks just like it, but just a different for a different model. So we'll plug it in there. Plug this in here. Transfer the tester across the two output tabs. Turn it back on. Now we're at about 7,000, so we gained even more. Okay, I want to just can't see what kind of spark this throws. Nice and hot. Let's leave that there. Let's unplug these wires. Hold on, let's see. There's that original red one. Get ready to head out. Okay. Tighten that up a little bit. Okay. Now we've got to get this transformer plugged up onto this board. So we're going to use this thinner blue wire. Use those little red spade connectors. Put that on there, and I'm going to cut it long so I've got plenty to work with. to figure out where we're going to wire it in at. So these outputs are going to go to these two sleeves here. These three are what go to your fence and ground, all those. It sits in like this, so these two tabs here. Alright, so probably put this one over here. And I can definitely cut off quite a bit of that one. Let's get this kind of figured out roughly. So we'll cut off that much. I think that should be good. And then we'll see if I got any nail spades that are good for this type of setup. Let's see. There's 1, 2. Crimp that. That's going to go in right there. I will kind of pinch that down just a little bit, make it look a tighter fit. And let's see what we're working with here. Okay, set that over there. Doesn't have to be that long. Plug in right here. Pinch it down just a little bit to make it make sure it's nice and snug. It feels like it is, but I'm going to push it up in there just a little bit further. And we'll squeeze down this a little bit. This. And I'm going to reach in here, bend that down and away just a little bit, like that. Almost 7,000. The only other thing we need to do is we need to change out that switch. That wire, and then we're going to have to push this whole thing out. Alright, so now we got to get this switch out. And I will cut that wire. It goes over to the fuse. And then we need to take a pair of pliers. Pull this nut off the front here. So it's made in England, so that switch was made over in England. Alright, so let's get a new switch. Actually, the switch is sitting right here. See if it's the same size. Oh, fit right in there. Cool. I gotta turn it around. That way on is on and off is off. So it goes on a certain way. So it's like that. So off is like that. Alright. For some reason that switches didn't have a nut in there with it. Let's see if I got one that will fit. This on there. Huh? Yeah, a couple, about 5 more minutes. We're just going to solder the wire. There's little screw down tabs on the back of the switch. Clamp it down, but I'm just going to solder it right there to it. So we'll add some solder to the screw and everything, because I don't want the thing to back out on accident, something dumb, and it quit working right. So now tin the wire on this one. Now we're going to blend it onto those down there. this excess I don't need. I'll cut this one kind of long, so I have plenty to work with. That. Alright, I'll strip some of it off. And then we'll add some solder to the wire. Tin the wire, and then we'll add some solder to the back side of this thing here. And we'll take needle nose. And we'll just heat the two of them up together. This cord was quit fighting me. Okay, so let's sneak this thing back in like this. And it is off at the moment. Alright, that stayed there. Let's actually, I'll pop it back out real quick. Yellow wire, which is part of our fuse from the positive side, goes underneath like that. And before I put all the way in there, let's go ahead and plug that wire, yellow wire up, so it's easy to get in there and do it. I'll pop the bottom in first, the switch panel. Let's sit a little high. Let's bend this down just a little bit. Sits like that. Let's take capacitor, plugs onto that. Bend that around like this. Ow. Plug this onto here. That should work a lot better. Alright, shouldn't hopefully have any more switch issues where it doesn't come on just right. Okay, plug this wire in like this. Come on, get in there. Okay. Off. It's not on, so now we'll hit the switch. There it goes. There's a must have beaten out this new switch on there. Alright, well this one's basically done. I need to finish up the transformer deal on getting it fastened into place and with the epoxy, and that's going to take about a full day to really harden up, so this thing won't go until tomorrow because we're already in the late afternoon part of the day. So if you got one of these old Gallagher B600, B1200, or even the B1600, we'd be happy to take a look at it for you. Until next time, we'll see you guys later on.